Welcome to the Midlife Edit, the podcast for women who are navigating the beautiful, messy, and sometimes sweaty journey of midlife. This isn't about a crisis, it's about an awakening. Join me, your host, Jen Weinstein, as I dive into all the things no one warned us about: hot flashes, brain fog, strength training, hormone balancing, and figuring out who the hell we are now. With a mix of expert insights, real talk, and a little humor, because if we're not laughing, we're crying, right? The Midlife Edit is your go-to space for embracing this season with confidence, strength, and balance. Whether you're trying to lift heavier, sleep better, set stronger boundaries, or just remember why you walked into a room, this podcast is here to remind you: midlife is not the end, it's just an edit, and you get to rewrite it your way. Hit subscribe and let's tackle midlife together, one episode at a time. This is the Midlife Edit. Let's make it a damn good chapter. Hi, friends, and welcome back to the Midlife Edit podcast. I'm your host, Jen Weinstein, and today I want to talk about 5 mindset shifts that'll change the way you approach midlife health and fitness. I am a sucker for a good list. I like checklists. I like to see things written down that I can check off. So I figured I'd share some tips that maybe you can write down, or you can go back and re-listen to this podcast. Some things to shift the way we approach health and fitness in midlife. So without further ado, I'm going to jump right in. My very first one is number 1, your body is not working against you, it's communicating with you. I know that might sound cheesy to you, but listen, hear me out. Instead of feeling like midlife changes like weight gain or fatigue, hormonal shifts, brain fog, shitty sleep, joint pain, instead of feeling they're a betrayal, let's learn to see them as signals from our body, right? So if you're getting fatigue and energy dips, maybe your body's telling you you need recovery and better fueling. If you're constantly exhausted, maybe it's more sleep or more nutrient dense food instead of grabbing McDonald's on the way to practice, or less stress, right? I mean, we could all use a little less stress in our life, but think about things that maybe stress us out that don't need to. So instead of pushing through, maybe we try to adjust. Maybe we go to bed a little bit earlier, or wind down with my favorite sleepy time tea. So have some sleepy time tea and read a book right before bed. Or maybe we change what we're putting in our bodies. Maybe we focus on protein rich and fiber rich meals, or reducing caffeine later in the day. I know we are a society that's fueled by caffeine, right? I am. Coffee, energy drinks, sodas, whatever it is to get you that boost. But sometimes that boost comes with a crash. So maybe stop drinking caffeine, set a time, 11 a.m. That's it. That's my last caffeine drink for the day. Maybe set yourself in a challenge that way. Or what is our body telling us if we're gaining weight, especially around the midsection? That's big for us in midlife, right? So maybe that's a call to balance blood sugar and manage stress. Again, stress. Everybody wants us to manage stress, right? But I mean, we're midlife women. How the hell do we do that? Well, midlife weight gain isn't just about eating less and moving more. And blood sugar instability, high cortisol, and loss of muscle mass all play a role in that. So whether you have never worked out, or you work out all the time, or you're on a GLP-1, which we can talk about, there's something that our bodies are telling us that isn't working. So if you're running all the time but you're not strength training, maybe that's what it is. Or if you're on a GLP-1 medication like Ozempic, Wegovy, and you're losing the weight but maybe you're feeling fatigued or you're not feeling as strong, that's because those medicines also cause you to lose muscle mass, right? So you need to be eating your protein and strength training while you're on those, which, by the way, I think they're wonderful. I'm not knocking them. I think they're great, and we can talk about those in a later episode as well. But blood sugar instability, right? So we're eating things that we don't realize that there's sugar in, and then we get sugar crashes. Our bodies aren't punishing us. It's nudging us to lift weights, eat more protein, swap high sugar snacks for nutrient dense alternatives. So, we want to listen to our bodies with that. Or what about joint pain and stiffness? Maybe that's a need for strength and mobility. Listen, I know I've already been beaten this to the pulp about strength training, but boy, it is so important in midlife. So if your body's feeling achy, maybe it's not telling you to stop moving. In fact, it's not. It's telling you to move differently. Strength training, mobility exercises, anti-inflammatory foods like omega-3s can make a huge difference. Or what about cravings and digestive issues? Maybe that's saying it's time to tune into your nutrition, right? If you're getting sugar cravings, maybe you need more balanced meals with protein, fiber, and healthy fats. Or if you're bloating, this is one that I struggle with sometimes is a lot of bloating. Maybe that's my gut telling me I need more hydration or fiber or probiotic rich foods like yogurts. Instead of feeling guilty and just feeling like, oh my gosh, I'm so gross, maybe just ask yourself, what's my body telling me? What's my body asking for? It's kind of like having a fever, right? When your body when you have a fever, your body's telling you something's wrong. There's an infection in there. So maybe treat these symptoms like a fever and say, okay, just listen to your body. What's it telling me? The final one on this I want to talk about is mood swings and brain fog. That's a need for hormonal support and nervous system regulation, right? So, midlife isn't just about the physical. We can talk about strength training a lot and how to eat differently, but there's mental and emotional aspects of it too. And if you have anxiety, mood swings, or forgetfulness that are showing up all the time, maybe your body needs nervous system support. So, maybe that's some deep breathing or better sleep. Maybe try some magnesium. One thing that I talked about this week with my therapist is sometimes when I'm getting those mood swings, like something sets me off and all of a sudden I just get really angry. She said, go to the kitchen, grab a bowl, put some ice and some cold water in it, and just dip your face in there. Because when I get angry, I get really hot, right? My body gets really hot internally, and I'm just I feel like a cartoon, like I want to burst. And so next time I do get angry, I'm going to try that. So I'll check back in with you because, let's be honest, it'll happen sooner rather than later, right? But, these are just our body telling us that something's wrong and we need to fix it. So instead of self criticism, let's try adding more mindfulness and stress reduction. Another thing that my therapist has given me is progressive muscle relaxation tools. So maybe look those up or we can talk more about those. But holy cow, have they worked. So, how to respond to these body signals? Let's be curious and not critical. Look, our bodies are trying to tell us something and we need to fix them without being frustrated, right? So take a deep breath and just ask, okay, what is my body telling me right now? And then this isn't a thing that's going to happen overnight. It's not going to be like, oh my gosh, yeah, your body's telling you this, let's fix it. No, we've got to experiment, we've got to adjust. So maybe some small tweaks in sleep or nutrition, starting strength training or some kind of stress management. Like I said, that progressive muscle relaxation is really good. Breathing exercises. We need to tweak small things, and maybe that can be a noticeable change. But trust that your body is wise and it's not broken, it's just adapting. So the better we listen to our bodies, the better we're going to feel. Okay. So to wrap up, number one, that your body's not working against you, it's communicating with you. Take one symptom that you've been frustrated with and reframe it and let me know about it. Just shoot me a DM, be like, oh my gosh, this is what happened. And I'm just curious to see because all of our bodies are different. And remember, your body's not your enemy, it's your best ally. You just have to listen to it. Okay, so moving on to number two. Number two is consistency beats perfection every time. Not used, that's a lie. I've heard this a lot in my life, right? Usually it's with work. And just talking about being consistent and you have to do it and you have to put the work in, whether it's in real estate it was making calls and it's consistent and you're going to do it. Well, you're going to get there, you just have to be consistent. Or with the gym, consistency. So we as women are pushed to perfection or we strive to perfection, right? Perfectionism is one of the biggest roadblocks to long-term success, whether, in anything. It can be in midlife health, fitness, nutrition. So it's easy to think that if we can't do something perfectly, the perfect diet, the perfect workout routine, the perfect morning routine, then it's not worth doing at all, right? I'm I'm one of the biggest poster childs of that is I have an all or nothing mindset sometimes, and I have to stop and be like, no, like done is better than perfect, right? But the truth is, small, consistent actions will always lead to better results than short lived perfection. So, why does this keep you stuck? Again, it creates that all or nothing mindset. And I have found myself so stuck in that for so many different ways or so many different things. Um, have you ever skipped a workout because you didn't have time for a full session? So you didn't have time for an hour, but maybe 10 minutes, but you're just like, can't do it all, so I'm not going to do it. Or ditched eating healthy because you had one unplanned meal. Huh. I, you know, we can talk about meals a little bit later in the episode, but if I have one off day, it's just like my body's like, all right, well, we already screwed it up, so let's just keep on going, right? This is the perfectionist trap, thinking that if you can't do it exactly right, you shouldn't do it at all. So instead of getting in that mindset, maybe just think something is always better than nothing. A 10-minute walk is better than skipping exercise altogether, or one balanced meal after that indulgence of that cinnamon roll in the morning will always get you back on track. Another thing that perfectionism does is it leads to burnout, right? Trying to go all in with strict dieting, intense workouts, unrealistic routines usually ends to exhaustion and quitting. So I'm telling on myself now to all of you, but this week, well, I guess at the end of last week, I wasn't eating right, and I knew that, and so my body was telling me it felt bad from the bloating, and I just, I knew I had a lot of water weight on, and so I was like, okay, well, it's worked before, it's going to work again. I'm going to go all in on a carnivore diet. That is for me personally, it's just not a good thing to do. I did it, and I did feel better, but then, I have to slowly start to introduce other foods, and my all or nothing mindset really gets the best of me when things like that happen. So, we need to it needs to be all about sustainability and not extremes, right? So instead of focusing on what the next 5 to 10 weeks look like, let's focus on what we can keep doing for the next 5 to 10 years. Um, because sometimes it makes you feel like you're failing. It sets up impossible standards, and then when we inevitably fall short, we just feel defeated, right? It's why so many of us start over and over again feeling like we can't get it right. So instead, progress, not perfection. One imperfect day doesn't erase all of your effort, I promise you. So let's lower the bar. Let's keep the momentum. So instead of saying, I'm going to lose 50 pounds in 3 months, let's be realistic. Let's, set a goal. I'm going to lose a pound a week. Or instead of saying, I'm going to go all in and I'm going to become a CrossFitter when you've never worked out before. Or like me, oh, I got to get back to it. So I'm just going to do carnivore for 7 days. I know. I know what to do and what not to do. And still, I still do it. And it's silly. Um, so let's, instead of needing maybe like the perfect workout, aim for movement every day. Um, and adopt the 80-20 rule. I know that most of you have heard of this, right? So if you make healthy choices 80% of the time, we don't need to stress about the other 20%. My dog's stressing right now, right in the background. But life's always going to bring something, whether it's holidays, vacations, stress. We need to learn to flex instead of quit, and that's the key to long-term success. So let's create simple, repeatable habits. Willpower and motivation do fade, but routines always make success automatic, right? Another thing we can try is finding anchor habits. So small daily actions that won't require thinking, like 5-minute morning stretch while your coffee's brewing or drinking water before you grab your first cup of coffee. or prepping protein or snacks for the week. A really good book to read if this is something that you want to start implementing in your life is Atomic Habits. If you haven't read it yet, please go grab it. It's really, really great. So these small wins stack up over time, and you want to celebrate these small wins. So instead of only focusing on the big goal, like losing 20 pounds, celebrate small daily wins, like, oh my gosh, today I moved my body, or I drank enough water, or I actually prioritize sleep. The more you celebrate these small wins, the easier it becomes to become consistent. And embrace the messy middle of progress, right? It's about adaptation, not rigid rules. So some weeks your workouts will be shorter or some meals won't be perfect. And that's okay. That's normal. That's life. Instead of stopping when things aren't ideal, just adjust and keep going. So ask yourself maybe what's one thing that's been holding you back? And then what's one small doable action you can commit to this week? Consistency over time leads to results and not perfection. Perfection doesn't lead to it. It's consistency, right? So every little effort counts. Showing up imperfectly still moves you forward. I love that one. Moving on to number 3. Strength and energy matter more than goal weight. I don't know if this is a popular or unpopular opinion, but maybe we need to shift the focus from shrinking our bodies to fueling and moving it in a way that supports longevity, confidence, and independence in midlife and beyond. I have been one that I just focus so much on the scale and the number on the scale instead of how I felt, right? For decades, we've been conditioned to believe that the number on the scale is the ultimate measure of success. I mean, again, like I said before, we grew up in the 80s and 90s, and it was always about skinny and the smaller the better. But in midlife, weight alone doesn't tell the full story. What really matters is how we feel in our body, right? Our strength, energy levels, our ability to move and live with confidence. So the scale isn't the best measure of health. You know, I mean, look, I could get on the scale in the morning and 2 hours later get on the scale and it could be a 5 pound difference because of so many different things in our bodies. So it doesn't reflect our body composition, right? It doesn't differentiate between muscle, fat, bone density, and water weight. And as we age, we naturally lose muscle if we're not actively strength training. Again, strength training, it's the key to everything. um, so if the number on the scale goes down, but it's muscle loss, that's not a win. You know, we could say we lost 5 pounds, but if it's 5 pounds of muscle, then what are we doing? Instead of chasing that lower number, let's focus on building strength and maintaining lean muscle. You're going to see a difference in your body. You're going to see a difference in the way that your clothes fit. You know, a lower number doesn't guarantee more energy, more confidence, more strength. And many of us who hit our goal weight still feel exhausted and weak and frustrated. So what's the point of being that certain weight if you don't feel good, if you feel depleted all the time, right? And our weight fluctuates for so many reasons. Like I said, hormones, stress, hydration, even what you ate yesterday can shift your weight by several pounds in one day. And that's crazy. And it's crazy to think that a number on the scale is going to define who you are. So, it leads to emotional roller coasters, feeling quote unquote good when it's low and bad when it's high. So instead of fixating on daily fluctuations, measure the progress in strength or energy and overall well being. So maybe it's you moved up 5 pounds in the weights that you were doing, or those jeans fit you a lot better. You don't feel as bloated in your leggings, whatever it is. Let's focus on that. Let's prioritize energy. Do you feel good every day? If you're constantly fatigued and dragging through workouts or relying on caffeine to function, that's a sign that something's off. So, prioritizing quality sleep, balanced nutrition, stress management, it'll do so much more for us and for our health than losing 5 pounds. Um, and energy is the best indicator of true health, right? So, think about energy and how you feel every day. Think about your strength. Can you lift more? Can you move better? Like I said before, strength training is not about getting bulky. It's about staying strong and mobile and independent as we age. We want to strength train so that we can walk around vacation when we're 80 or pick up our grandkids or get up off the chair. if you're getting stronger and you're lifting heavier or feeling more stable, you're making progress no matter what that scale says. Mobility and longevity, are you moving well? Being able to walk, squat, bend, lift, play with your kids. It's far more important than that number on the scale. Just remember that. That number on the scale doesn't define who you are. Strength training and mobility work to ensure that you stay active and independent for decades and decades to come. And that's our goal, right? And metabolic health, are we supporting our bodies long term? Adequate protein, proper nutrition, that helps regulate blood sugar and hormones and metabolism, which are far more important for us in long term than losing a few pounds, right? A well-fueled, strong body is better for hormonal balance, bone density, and mental clarity, right? So how do we shift our focus from away from the weight and to how we feel? Let's set some strength and energy based goals. So instead of I want to weigh X amount of pounds, let's try I want to have the energy to get through the day without crashing, or I want to feel confident and strong in my body, or I want to deadlift my body weight. Let's track progress in the ways that matter. So how our clothes fit, how strong we feel, our energy levels, our mood, and our confidence. Are you showing up for yourself more? Measure our wins beyond the scale. So, hey, I lifted heavier today, or I ran up the stairs without getting winded, or I finally slept through the night, or I just feel more confident. So, if that scale is really messing with your mind, ditch it, get rid of it. If it sends you into a spiral of self doubt, just put it away. Focus on how you feel and you move and how you live your life. So, maybe this week, focus on one non scale victory: strength, energy, mood, whatever it is. And let's talk about that too. Number 4, food is not the enemy, it's your fuel. So instead of restricting or fearing certain foods, we want to reframe nutrition as a tool to nourish our bodies, balance hormones, and feel your best. This is the thing that I need to work on the most. I am, like I just told you, I sometimes I get so restrictive, and especially in midlife, food has framed me to be something to fear, control, or restrict. I've always been conditioned to see food in black and white terms. It's either good food or bad food, right? I mean, we say it all the time. What's healthy, what's not healthy. Oh, that's bad for us. That's good for us. It's something that's going to make us gain weight or lose weight. But in reality, right? It's not our enemy, it's our fuel. It's what keeps us strong and energized and thriving. It's not about eating less, it's about eating smarter. So why we need to ditch the fear around food? Well, restriction leads to burnout and binge cycles. And, cutting out entire food groups all the time and trying to eat as little as possible can lead to cravings and overeating and exhaustion. This kind of goes hand in hand with what we talked about with consistency and the all or nothing thing, right? If you're restricting yourself so much and then all of a sudden you get a chance to eat something, for me, it would be like pizza. So instead of because I've restricted myself so much and I see pizza, instead of eating one piece, I'm going to eat 4. And that's just not good, obviously, right? So instead of that, we need to focus on fueling our body and not depriving it. If you're craving a piece of pizza, then eat a piece of pizza. Don't eat 4, but eat 1. Our body needs more and not less in midlife, right? So as our estrogen declines, our metabolism, muscle mass, energy levels, they depend on proper nutrition. So eating too little, especially if it's too little in protein, healthy fats, and fiber, can leave us feeling weak and sluggish and mentally foggy like crazy, right? So instead, we're going to prioritize nourishing foods that give us energy, strength, and hormonal balance. Remember that food is about more than just calories. It's not about calories in, calories out. It's about nutrients that support our muscle, brain, health, and longevity. So, for example, 500 calories of processed snacks versus 500 calories of good protein, fiber, and healthy fats will have completely different effects on our energy and cravings and body composition, right? So, what are we going to focus on instead of restrictions? We're going to prioritize protein for strength and metabolism. So, for me, and I tell my kids and my stepkids, as when we sit down to dinner, always prioritize that protein. Make sure that we're eating that first before we're eating um, whatever the super heavy carb is that time, or because it's going to keep us fuller longer. It's going to stabilize our blood sugar, and in us, in midlife, it really does help prevent muscle loss. So some simple swaps: add eggs to breakfast, increase lean protein at meals, and snack on Greek yogurt or nuts. We're going to fuel our body with whole nutrient dense foods. So instead of focusing on what to cut out, we want to focus on what to add in. I have seen a couple people on TikTok um, that say, eat what you want, add what you need, right? So it just, you can Google that too. So saying adding healthy fats like avocados, olive oils, not seed oils, but olive oils, and nuts for hormone balance, or fiber rich carbs like veggies, whole grains. And that can help with your gut health. Hydration is so important all the time, but like as we're going into midlife too, hydration is so important for digestion, skin, and overall health. It's funny, I was talking to somebody the other day about how we never really remembered drinking a ton of water growing up. And it's so funny because now, I mean, my cup's in my hand all the time. But we didn't. It was never a thing back then. But I think that's probably why it was so hard for me to get used to drinking a lot of water now, because I never did it when I was younger. But hydration, man, it is so good for the skin and digestion and just your overall health. We want to ditch the guilt around carbs and fats. They're not the enemy. They're essential for energy and hormone regulation. It's the key is to choosing quality ones. So with carbs, instead of eating the processed sugars and the white breads and you know, the cakes and the cookies, go for fiber rich options like sweet potatoes, berries, quinoa. And with fats, instead of fearing fats, because again, here I'm back to that point again where we grew up in the 80s and 90s and everything was low fat, right? And that's how our minds have been trained to not eat fat. We need fat. And so instead of fearing it, we need to focus on omega 3s from things like walnuts and flax seeds and salmon, even though I hate seafood. But if you like seafood, you should be eating salmon. We need to eat for energy and hormonal balance. So if we're constantly tired and irritable, experiencing that brain fog, we're probably underfueled. So we need to eat balanced meals with protein, fiber, and healthy fats to keep our blood sugar stable, right? And instead of skipping meals, try eating regular nutrient dense meals that sustain our energy throughout the day. Working in the restaurant business for as long as I did, I was the queen of one meal a day. And I always thought, oh, that has to be good for me, right? But I was probably the most unhealthy I've ever been eating one meal a day. Because what happens? And I'm not saying it was intermittent fasting. I was not intermittent fasting. I just wasn't eating until I was. And that meal was probably terrible. I ate way too many calories in one sitting because I was just starving. But in my head, I was like, oh, I only eat once a day, so I'm fine. Breakfast, lunch, dinner. Just try to eat 3 meals a day, right? But listen to your body instead of quote unquote diet rules, right? So instead of following these strict diets, let's tune into what foods make you feel good. I am going to make a commitment to myself. I use social media a lot as kind of accountability for myself. So, I post my workouts or that I'm in the gym just to hold myself accountable. So maybe I'll start posting some recipes on there or some what I eat in a days just to keep myself accountable so that I don't restrict myself. I need to pay attention to my hunger cues and cravings and energy levels and when am I craving certain things or what foods make me feel good or what food, make me feel a little bloated. Maybe start a food journal, right? So just to recap all of that, let's think of food as a tool, not a threat. Every meal is an opportunity to fuel our bodies, right? So instead of asking, how little can I eat? How about we ask, how can I fuel my body today? And let's reframe food as self-care and not punishment. It's not, it's not just for fuel. It's also pleasure and culture and connection. I mean, how many times do you go out to eat as a form of hanging out with somebody, right? So we need to allow ourselves to enjoy this food without guilt, but also make choices that support our well being. And we need to make food work for us and not against us. So again, I'm telling on myself, I need to stop being on these restrictive things and just eat a well balanced diet. So if you don't have time for complicated recipes, it's okay to eat the same things all the time. My husband and I, we love steak salads. We could probably eat them 2 or 3 nights a week. And so why not just do it, you know? So just ask yourself, what's one food rule or diet belief that you've been holding on to that no longer serves you? Write that down and let's cross that out. Let's throw it away. Let's burn it, right? Okay. Last but not least, number 5, you're not too late. This is just the beginning. Change is only for younger women, right? Midlife is a powerful time to take control of our health and create the strongest version of ourselves. I have a hard time with this one because, when I was younger, 41 seemed so old, didn't it? But now I'm like, holy cow, like I'm only 41. So things that we need to realize, because this is one of the biggest mindset blocks women in midlife face, right? We feel like we've missed our chance. Whether it's fitness or nutrition or career goals or personal growth, it's so easy to think, oh, if I started this in my 20s and 30s, I'd be in such a different place. Or I'm too old to get strong or to lose weight or to change my habits. Or what's the point of starting now? That's all bullshit, right? Here's the truth. You are not too late. You are right on time. I am right on time. We're all right on time, right? It's not the end. It's a powerful new beginning. We have decades ahead of us, and the choices we make now will shape how we feel, move, and live in all of the years to come. So, why is it never too late to start? Because our body is adaptable at any age. Strength training, better nutrition, mindset shifts, they work at any stage of life. We don't need to be young to see the results. Studies actually show that women in their 40s, 50s, and beyond can build muscle, improve metabolism, and boost energy just as effectively, if not more effectively, as younger people. So the sooner we start, the stronger we feel and the healthier we'll be in the long run, right? Every positive change compounds over time. So small, consistent changes add up, whether it's walking more, eating more protein, or lifting weights. So even if you feel like you're behind, starting today puts us miles ahead of waiting another year. A year from now, we'll either wish we started or be grateful that we did, right? Midlife is a time for transformation. This is not a decline, people. Society tells us that midlife's all about slowing down, shrinking, and accepting decline, but that's such a lie. It's bullshit, right? This is the time to redefine your health, your strength, your confidence on your terms. Many women in their 40s and beyond feel more empowered and stronger and more in control of their bodies than ever before. So let's join that club together. We've already overcome so much. We can do this too. Look, you've raised kids, or you've built careers, or you've navigated relationships. You've handled life's up and downs. If you can get through all of that, you can absolutely commit to taking care of your body and your mind. This is one that I tell myself almost daily. Your past does not define you. Your choices today do. Did we make mistakes in our past? Yes. Believe me, I've made a ton. But, do you ever hear that term, you can start your day over at any time? Look, I feel like I can start my life over at any time. And today, I choose to be healthy, and I choose to be strong, and I choose to not give up. So remember, your past doesn't define you. Your choices today do. And your future self is going to thank you. So imagine yourself at 60 or 70 or 80. What kind of life do you want? The strength and mobility and habits you build now will shape the way you experience aging. It is such a blessing to get older. I've said that before, I will say it again. We are so blessed to be able to grow older. So whether it's traveling or playing with grandkids or simply moving without pain, your future health starts today. So start small, but start today. So instead of focusing on where you should be, start with one small change: a 10-minute walk, a protein-rich breakfast, strength workout once a week, picking up the phone and calling your friend, calling me and saying, hey, where do I start? It's not about how fast you go, it's about showing up consistently. You need to stop comparing yourself to your younger self. Your high school body will never be your body now. You're not in your 20s anymore. And you know what? That's a good thing. Your body's changed, but you have more wisdom and experience and resilience than ever before. So instead of looking back, ask yourself, what can I do today to feel stronger, healthier, and happier? Surround yourself with people who reinforce growth. Find a community, a coach, supportive friends who remind you that you're capable. And if you don't have people around you, then reach out to social media. Get on TikTok and just watch for a while, or Facebook. Reach out to me anytime. Please reach out to me. And we can talk about what we can do today to feel stronger, healthier, and happier, right? It's not the time to shrink. It's the time to expand. We need to celebrate every win, no matter how small. Did you start lifting weights? Awesome. Did you start cooking? Look, I didn't start cooking until I married my husband 4 years ago. I always thought I was a terrible cook. I love cooking now. And it's a really cool feeling, right? Every small action moves you forward. So give yourself credit for every step you take towards health and well-being. And embrace midlife as a time of strength, not a decline. Remember, you're still evolving. You are still capable of growth, and you're never too late. We're just getting started. So to wrap that one up, what's one thing you've been telling yourself you're too late for? And what's one small step today that you can make towards that goal? Midlife is a powerful new chapter, guys. It's not the end, and our best years are still ahead of you. The strongest, healthiest, and most confident version of you is still waiting. So let's start today. So again, that was a long one today, huh? But those were the 5 mindset shifts that will change the way you approach midlife health and fitness. I'm really passionate about it, if you couldn't tell, especially that last one. You know, it's never too late. I'm not too old. You're not too old. We can start over at any time. So let's start over today. Thank you so very much for listening to this episode. There will be show notes on it, so you can check out the show notes. If you're interested in joining an email list, check out the show notes or visit my website, thejenweinstein.com, to sign up for that email list. And if you have any topics that you think we should cover, or if you'd like to be a guest on the podcast, email me at info@thejenweinstein.com and we'll chat. Stick around next week because I have a super exciting episode for you. I am bringing on my very first guest. And if you are a member of the Dave Matthews Band community, you will know this guest very well. I'm really excited to have her on. So tune in next week. And until then, this is the Midlife Edit. Let's make it a damn good chapter.